Hello and welcome to the follow-up episode of MTG Arena Run. We just had a very nice run with the Boros Assault deck, but it took me a while to think of how to upgrade this deck. I actually spent the whole night thinking about it. Like there are so many there are so many lines that we could take in this case to fix it up. I considered expanding on the exert play, but now that the more I think of it, exert is one of those abilities that you wish you could use every time, but you can't. So you're actually playing with cards that are slightly a bit more mediocre in the long run. And there are also issues of the deck wants to go wide, but the cards that they have for the go wide, in particular Oketra's Monument. Sure, it gives us a discount afterwards, but as it is, it's on turn 3 you pay 3 mana, it does absolutely nothing. So I figured the best way to streamline this deck is to simply bring down the mana cost really low. So first things first, let's fix our mana base. That's always the best thing to do. So first we'll drop the stone quarries. We'll drop one mountain and no, that's an F crop entangler. We'll drop one mountain and one plains just for now. We're gonna drop them in favor of a full playset of clifftop retreats. And Chafet Dunes, probably drop that as well in favor of. Right now our mana is mostly white, but I'm gonna add a mountain right now because the next thing I'm gonna fix is our removal suite. So we're gonna take out some of our one-offs that are not so effective. We'll drop Desert's Hold. We'll drop Baffling End. We're also going to, in this case, we're going to drop Excellence Binding, and we're also going to drop Puncturing Blow. First thing we're going to do is get the full play set of Lightning Strikes. And we're also going to replace the Excellence Binding with a second Cast Out. The one reason we're keeping Cast Out here is simply because it has cycling. It gives us a turn 1 play, and it gives us basically card draw when we really need it the most. So next we're gonna take a look at some of our enchantments. We're gonna drop the Cartouche and the Trial package. So instead of that, we're going to upgrade. We're gonna toss in an extra Braid. It's nice to have that option. We probably will add another Cast Out. So that fixes our removal suite. Note that previously I've been leaning more towards white removal. Now I'm preferring red removal, especially the lightning strikes, because we do need to deal damage to our opponents. Oh, speaking of which, there's one spell I do want to add. Even if it's just one copy, Fight with Fire. It pretty much acts like the Puncturing Blow in that it does good work in removing an opponent's creature, but also it has the added benefit that if for some reason we ever end up in the really late game, we can just make it a big glory lava axe to the face. So we fixed that removal suite. Probably should drop one more. Yeah, I'm gonna drop that one Cast Out. So now we're gonna take a look over the creatures that we have. So we want to streamline our 1-drop. So Bloodlust Inciter, 1/1 for 1 gives haste. That's gonna go. Sky Marcher Aspirant, that's the one I want to keep. In fact, I do want to. I'm thinking of adding one more, but let's hold out that thought for now. There's actually another creature I want to add. Okay, let's see if we can find that pirate. No, not the Daring Buccaneer. I forgot to fix my filters. Okay, here we go. This one, at least we get the option of, when I say about deck stats, they have decent filter system. So Fanatical Firebrand, I'm probably gonna remove it as well. Sure, it's nice to be able to pick off one off and have haste at the same time, but in the long run, we want our creatures to stay. And from the looks of things, we are running into a lot of creatures with more than one toughness, so this is not so much a good removal. So let's drop that Fanatical Firebrand. The one I wanted to add was Rigging Runner. It's a 1/1 with first strike, but a good amount of the time, especially if the play goes well, it's a 2/2 for 1 mana with first strike. We're gonna add 2 of those. I'm even tempted to add the third one, so let's see. Let's drop the Fervent Paincaster, 3 mana for a 1/1 that 3/1. But that's another thing. I want my 3/1s to at least cost 2 mana, or otherwise not have abilities that help get through. Just pinging for 1 on occasion is not it, so I'm gonna bump up the Rigging Runner. Next, we're gonna take a look at our 2 drops. So Adorned Pouncer, quite good. We're gonna keep the kitty. Battlefield Scavenger triggers with our Exert, but we're gonna trim down on Exert, and most of the time it's just a 2/2. So Scavenger goes. Glorybound Initiate. That's the one we want to keep. So let's add one more in instead. Gustwalker has evasion, and it's generally a 2/2. Let's leave it there for now. The one I want to drop is the Necrop Entangler. 2/1 sometimes becomes a 3/3. I'd much rather have the Glorybound Initiate. We'll keep the Honored Crop Captain. Harsh Mentor. Okay, the Harsh Mentor is basically a 2/2 for 2. Has deals damage to our opponent whenever they activate abilities. This is basically a sideboard card, and I would much rather streamline our main game, so Harsh Mentor's gotta go. We'll probably drop our Steward of Solidarity. 2/2 for 2. Creates tokens once in a while. It prolonged the game that we kind of lost eventually. And truth be told, I don't see ourselves playing this deck as a control deck. I would rather have more removal in that regard. So Steward goes. We're gonna keep the Honored Crop Captain because we're aiming for attacks, but I want to have another good 2 drop. So this one will look under dinosaurs. Okay, nope, sorry, not plural. So we're gonna go look for one particular dinosaur. Here, we're going to add Relentless Raptor. 3/3 for 2 mana. Sure, it has to attack each turn if able, but that's kind of what we want to do. Also has Vigilance, so works both ways. We're gonna add 2 copies of the Relentless Raptor. I'm considering dropping the Gustwalker for another copy of the Raptor. Also, if I think of the Sky Marcher Aspirant, it sometimes gets flying, but I would much rather have something that is relevant early. So let's add the Dauntless Bodyguard instead. Because it acts as a one-shot protection. It's probably much better than the Sky Marcher in this case. So now let's take a look at our 3 drops. Since we're not going all in on the Exert plan, Dauntless Aven can go. We're gonna replace it with more Ancrop Crashers. If there's one creature with Exert I want to keep, it's this one. Combat Celebrant probably should go. If it's great, it's really great, but it can't be great all the time. I'm gonna drop the Combat Celebrant for now. I'm also gonna drop the Devoted Actually, we'll keep the devoted crop mate. Sometimes being able to buy our creatures back is great, especially when we've streamlined the cost now. I'm going to replace it with another. We already have 3 relentless raptors. I'm going to replace it with another adorned pouncer. Let's bring that up. The resolute survivors has an exert ability that allows us to gain some life back. More importantly, it is a tree. It is also a tree, so we should probably keep them. So actually, that's quite. Oh yeah, we have a Singleton Oketra's Avenger. Nah. Let's. And we also have an Angel of Condemnation that did some work. I'm actually considering just replacing it with more Adorned Pouncers. No, let's add an Adorned Pouncer and another Cast Out. Cast Out's pretty much what the Angel of Condemnation is doing. So deck is much more streamlined. We have 2 copies of Rallying Roar. The untap is somewhat relevant, but at this cost, we're going to replace it with something much cheaper. Actually, we have 2 options here. So creatures, you control. So let's go over the 2 options that we were thinking of. One is charge, basic, pretty much the same effect without the untap, but it's 2 mana cheaper. Alternatively, we can, not in Oketra's name, we don't have any zombies. We're not doing inspired charge. We're aiming for cheaper, not more expensive. Pride of Conquerors. This one can occasionally be +2/+2. And I guess 2 mana is quite worth it. I'm gonna put in Pride of Conquerors for now, but I believe you can make. I believe charge would be preferable as well, if not more so. So we're gonna check out what our mana base is and see if we can add a little extra punch. Because right now our punch is fight with fire. We could use another decent big creature as a finisher. We are somehow keeping the Oketra's Monument, but let's see how many white creatures we actually have. So let's analyze this deck. And looking over creatures, we got 2, 3, 6, 8, 10. Okay, these I'm not counting these guys. They don't get the benefit. So 2, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 creatures. Sorry. Okay, I did my math wrong. Hold on. 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. Only 9 creatures benefit from the drop, from the cost reduction. So Oketra's Monument has got to go. So, but we still are lacking. We're lacking a very decent finisher here. I'm right now actually drawing a blank. Wait. Okay, I figured it out. Sure, I took out the 4 mana to remove 5 mana, but 1, Glorybringer has haste. 2, it's also removal on the fly. So I'm gonna add. So let's see. If I were to, I'll just add 1 copy for now. But I can see an argument for subtracting 1 Adorned Pouncer. Let's take a look at our curve right now. So 11 creatures at 2. 6 creatures at 3. Okay, so what I'm probably gonna do instead is I'm gonna drop. Let's see, what are 3? Resolute, we're keeping that. We're gonna drop the Crop Mate in favor of another Glorybringer. I suppose we could replace the Glorybringer with a charging Monstrosaur 5/5 for 5. has trample instead of flying, but we want to be able to clear the board too. And exerting doesn't usually matter, since a good amount of the time we can exert, clear a blocker, we can pretty much win the game then and there. So let's take a look at our... Okay, so our mana base is much better. As you can see, it's leaning more towards red. And yes, our forecasting costs, these are just all cast outs. Sometimes they will actually fall into the one slot. Yeah, so we actually have a much better deck, this much more streamlined deck. Everything's early game. It's quite suited considering that this deck runs 23 lands. And we really need to run the basics because I don't see any reason to play Evolving Wilds or put the Stone Quarries back in. We want to hit our we want to hit our 1-drops a good amount of the time. Even sure, it's still only 5 creatures, but it's still quite good. So I guess this is the deck. And looking at this time, we actually don't have any Glorybringer, Pseudo Mythic, but this deck has no mythics this time. So, still gonna be a bit more expensive considering we upgraded the mana base and the mana base. Well, slightly more expensive, but not too much. Anyway, this is a good way to upgrade the deck for the time being. I suppose a shift could be made to... an argument could be laid to leaning more towards white instead of red. But I figured this is a good take. So thank you very much for... Well, let's take a look at it before we say goodbye. Yeah, much more streamlined. Now if only the rest of the cards would load. Still slightly iffy. I guess this could be this could just be charge. That's a decision you have to make when you make the deck yourself. Alternately, some of these cards could be dropped as well. If you're playing actual standard with Kaladesh and Aether Revolt, I suppose you can replace the Magma Sprays with Shocks. A Braid is still important though. You never know what kind of artifact you'd run into. So this is the deck I would run this time. Probably if I revisit these decks, this would... And there is no massive reset. This is the first deck I'm going to test out. Anyway, so this is it for the MTG Arena Run. That's the post-mortem of the new Boros Assault deck. And if you like what you're seeing, please don't forget to like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and hope to see you again next time when we tackle yet another deck and maybe see if I can do better next time. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and hope to see you again soon.